Welcome back, everybody. Today's topic is how to probate a will without using an attorney. Now, I get calls on this, other attorneys that I know get calls on this, and we all find it a little bit strange that people call and say, hey, how can I not hire you? Please tell me about this. There are not a lot of businesses that I would think to explicitly ask them for advice on how to avoid hiring them, but that's the beauty of YouTube. I can make this video and give you all some explanation, and then if you need to hire me later, great, and if you don't, great. So, as always, if you're enjoying the content, give a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell in the lower right-hand corner, and let's get started. So at the outset, let me note this is not legal advice. As we'll talk about in just a minute, every jurisdiction is different. There's all kinds of different answers to these questions, and it's all over the map depending on where you are. Don't take anything that I'm saying as set in stone gospel truth. This is just generalities and an overall overview for you. Now, why would I make a video like this that explains to people how they can avoid hiring me? Well, I feel like giving you the knowledge to answer this question for yourself and to find out for yourself whether you really do need to hire an attorney or not is one of the best ways to build trust with potential new clients. So as I said in the introduction, if it ends up that you don't need to hire an attorney, fantastic. If it ends up that you do need to hire an attorney, maybe you'll think of me, maybe you'll find someone local, but I want to make sure that you have the knowledge to make that educated decision for yourself. So here's part one of how you can probate a will without an attorney. You need to look at what jurisdiction you're in, because depending upon your jurisdiction, the answer to do you need an attorney to do this may be yes, or it may be no, or it may be maybe. The reason for that has to do with the nature of an attorney. In the state of Texas and in most other states, no one but a licensed and barred attorney may appear for another person in a court of law. That being said, a person may always represent themselves in a court of law, but they can't represent someone else unless they're a licensed and barred attorney. Now, why is this an issue for probate? You're just trying to get your dead relative's stuff. Well, at least in theory, the person who appears in court is representing the estate. They're representing the dead person. And for that to be a pro se representation, a dead person would have to appear in court, which is obviously impossible. We can't take a dead person and make them talk in court. So if the answer is yes or maybe in your jurisdiction, that you do need an attorney or you might need an attorney to proceed with the probate, most likely that's the reasoning, that proceeding with a probate, opening a probate, constitutes representation of another person, and that may only be done by an attorney. This is not some conspiracy behind the scenes. This goes to the very nature of what a legal representation is in a common law system like the United States. If you're representing another person, you must be an attorney, the end. And the question is opening a probate, is opening an estate administration representing another person? In a lot of jurisdictions, the answer is yes. Therefore, the answer, how do you probate a will without an attorney? You can't. Now, there are other jurisdictions where you can. Next, we're going to talk about how you find out what the answer to that is in your jurisdiction. This is surprisingly easy. You're going to call your local courthouse and you're going to ask them whether you can represent yourself in a probate. Now, keep in mind, these people may not give you legal advice. They are not representing you. In a lot of cases, they're not even lawyers. So they can't render any legal advice as to whether you should or whether it's a good idea to, or even how you would go about doing it. But they should be able to give you the answer to the question, is it permitted in that jurisdiction to represent yourself in a probate? So you're going to call your local courthouse, you're going to call your local county clerk. Now, you might get transferred around the switchboard a few times, but eventually you're going to get to the probate clerk or the probate court, and they're going to be able to give you the answer to the question of whether you can represent yourself in a probate in your jurisdiction. Now, if your jurisdiction is like most jurisdictions, there's not one single probate. There's going to be a menu of options. And there's some of these that are more likely to require a lawyer and some that are less likely to require a lawyer. For example, a full-blown probate, a full-blown estate administration, with or without a will, is more likely to require a lawyer to do. Whereas, on the other hand, something like an affidavit of heirship or something like a small estate affidavit, those are going to be less likely to require an attorney. Now, sometimes they still are, but it's less likely. And then you have some stuff in the middle that, again, it depends very much on the jurisdiction. Talk to your local courthouse. But something like a probate as a muniment of title that is going to be, maybe you need a lawyer for it, maybe you don't. Now, all of that being said, there's one huge concern that should indicate to you that it might be wise to hire an attorney, even if you don't technically have to. And that's if there's a lot of money involved in the estate. Because doing these things yourself, these are tremendously complicated documents to a layperson. And doing these things yourself creates some risk that you might do it wrong and create some tax problems, create some inheritance problems, create some litigation among you and the other heirs. It's very easy to mess these things up if you're not an attorney who does it all the time. So if there's a lot of money in the estate, it may be a wise decision to retain an attorney even if you don't technically have to. So that's it for today. Like I said, the bottom line is call your local courthouse, call your local clerk, ask them about this menu of options, the affidavit of heirship, small estate affidavit, the probate. Ask them whether you're required to hire an attorney. Consider whether it may be a wise idea to hire an attorney anyway, and then make your decision from there. As always, I appreciate any likes to the video or subscribes to the channel. Thank you guys and take care.